Welcome, folks. Thank you so much for coming out on a Sunday morning for our final day of the Stages Festival. I think you all know who I am and what's going on here. But I do want to say that we have been streaming everything live this entire weekend. So what you see on the TV screen over there is what's going out live to YouTube. And Justice, our intern who's back there organizing things, says that there are currently 9 people watching. Hi, 9 people watching. And I'm sure more will watch later because they'll have access to the archival video as well afterwards. Anyway, this is our 6th presentation this weekend, and it is the musical is called Pickpocket, and our writers have come down from the Bay Area to join us for the reading. Book and lyrics by Kasten, and music by Wolfe. Sandy has been a member of NMI for a while, even though she lives up in the Bay Area. She's been commuting and actually went through our core program and commuted and came back and forth a lot. So we're very happy to be able to help her with the continuing development of this piece. Now, have you guys ever had a reading? You've had a reading up in the Bay Area? You have, but there's some new stuff, or yeah. So this is a chance for them to hear some new stuff and see how the current version of the draft is going. We have a wonderful group of folks over here who've had 3 rehearsals to put this together. One important thing to know is that stages means that everything is in different stages of development. In this particular instance, not all the music got to us in time. So we reach a certain point, maybe about halfway through the show, where we don't have music anymore, so we will continue with the story. We have all the book, and we will read the lyrics. So when you start hearing people reading things that start to rhyme, those are lyrics that we did not have the music for. So we will sing all the music that we got, and then we'll go on. This is a 2-act piece. We will be taking a short intermission. And without any further ado, here is Pickpocket by Kasten and Wolfe. Act 1, Scene 1. A dark alley in Manhattan, 1903. Tom and Nance enter.
Oh, Tommy, give me a nickel to go to the vaudeville.
How many nickels have I gave you since you run away from the orphan's home? And didn't you just go to the vaudeville yesterday?
Day before.
Still dreaming about that actress lady's diamond necklace, aren't you?
Well, I'll bet I could do it.
I bet you can't. Forget it, Nance. But here's a nickel for the show. Give me a kiss. Just make sure you get back here by 3.
Thanks, Tommy. I'll be here.
Scene 2, a New York street in front of the Obermuller's Vaudeville Theater. A crowd has gathered, made up of the well-dressed, the downtrodden, and a few policemen. Nance hovers in the background.
Welcome to Obermuller's Vaudeville, the greatest entertainment in New York.
It's a show that's always clean. There is nothing that's obscene. It's so wholesome you could eat it with a fork.
It's 1903. It's modern times, the 20th century. We have electric lights and telephones.
We live on the Upper East Side. I serve on the charity board.
We are people of distinction. It is obvious we're slumming, but the music keeps us coming to this godforsaken pit.
We have carriages and drivers, and our rigs are drawn by horses.
So the streets are always filthy. We are ankle-deep in shit.
Edward walks over to the tenement man and shares his hip flask with him.
In the White House we've got Teddy. There's a joke about elections. City Hall is bought and paid for, a machine that runs on grease.
The policemen have their fingers in the politicians' pockets. It's hard to serve 2 masters, but we try to keep the peace.
We're building a new Grand Central Terminal. The elevated will soon be underground. It's progress.
We live on the Lower East Side. Progress hasn't come to the tenements yet. There's a lack of indoor plumbing. We have rats and other vermin, and voracious little insects that attack us in our bed. There's diphtheria and typhus, and the pollution is uncommon, so diseases quickly spread. We don't get much education, we do piecework at the table, without light or ventilation, from the time that we are 5. And our future looks abysmal, we'll be working in the sweatshops. We'll rely upon your wages so the family can survive.
In the cafes the bohemians gather, poets and painters and socialist thinkers,
Feminist women with good educations argue for voting and
go on, Mabel, they're just words, they won't burn your tongue.
argue for voting and sexual freedom.
We're forbidden contraceptives, and abortion is illegal. So we have a lot of babies, there's a plentiful supply.
It is shameful to admit this, but we can't afford to feed them. And consider it a blessing that so many of them die.
If we make it to adulthood, there is still tuberculosis, which is very often fatal. We don't have a lot of time. We will burn out very quickly, but we're living to the fullest. We indulge in all the vices.
And we often turn to ride.
Welcome to Oberg Mulder's Vaudeville, the greatest entertainment in New York. It's a show that's always clean, there is nothing that's obscene. It's so wholesome you could eat it with comfort.
Grand Central Depot lobby. Tom walks around as he waits for Nance, who rushes in.
There you are. Let's do this thing. And then I'll take you out for supper.
Oh, let's go to one of those Italian places with the white tablecloths and candles on the table.
Are you the queen of Persia now? Maybe you'd like to go to Delmonico's?
Oh, yes. Someday, when I have a new dress. Well, it'll be purple, I think, yes. Purple, like a ripe plum with a white lace collar.
Stop
and
your prattling, Nance. Don't bungle
Well,
this.
have we ever let you down?
I taught you good, but there's always a first time.
Tommy, put that idea just right out of your mind and think of something else, like all the money you've saved up for us.
Money slippery stuff, Nance. Just look how much I give you to fritter away on vaudeville shows.
A well-dressed but tipsy man enters the lobby from the bar.
That one. He's taped up for sure. Go!
Excuse me, sir. I'm so sorry. How clumsy of me. I'm all turned around. I'm looking for my sister. She's arriving on the train for Kasten. I've forgotten which track it comes in on.
John.
That's all right, miss. No harm done.
Well, my sister she's a student at Vassar College. Isn't that grand? And did you know that the founder of Vassar College made his fortune brewing beer? Oh, it's true. Oh, I think I see my sister over there.
As Nance is talking, Tom picks the tipsy man's pocket and moves away. Tom passes Nance the man's watch. A policeman enters and Nance hurries into the ladies' lounge and takes off her black coat. And the tipsy man says,
My watch is gone.
When did you last have it?
Just now when I left O'Malley's, when a young woman bumped into me, I should have realized.
Can you describe her?
She was about this tall in a black coat. I don't know. There was nothing special about her.
the policeman moves to the door of the ladies' lounge where he can see Nance. She takes an elegant red coat off the rack, puts it on, and smiles at the policeman, who moves away. Nance then stares at herself in the mirror.
In this coat I might be a Vanderbilt, dripping with diamonds, bracelets and rings, instead of a pickpocket earning my living by lifting other people's things. The richest of woolens, the collar is fur, the cut and the drape of it ever so fine. Who would have thought just a moment ago such a coat would ever be mine? Lunch with the bishop, then off to the opera, Enrico Caruso's debut at the Met. Society ladies are eager to meet me. They'll know by my coat I belong to their set. I'll dine at Delmonico's richest of woolens, the collar is fur, the cut and the drape of it ever so fine. Who would suspect that tucked into my shirt waist? It's ticking. It's ticking. Ticking like a bomb. What if it somehow shows? What if that policeman knows? He'll march into these ladies' rooms and handcuff me and take me to the tomb. And all around me I see bars, bars, bars. Oh, calm yourself, Nance. The person who's wearing this coat is surely a Vanderbilt. Her glamour and class and distinction are easy to see as she struts out of here like a queen, with no one the wiser. She sneaks right on past and goes free.
In the red coat, Nance enters the lobby and sweeps grandly past the tipsy man and the policeman and exits. A coatless woman runs out of the ladies' lounge.
My coat! Someone stole my coat!
The policeman blows his whistle and runs after Nance. Nance runs into an alley, stops, looks about nervously. A police whistle is heard. Nance runs to Latimer's back door and exits through it. The policeman looks around puzzled and exits. Latimer, in a wheelchair, sits in his parlor with his guests Edward and Henrietta Ramsey.
I'm afraid we'll have to be going soon, Charles. I have an orphanage board meeting this evening. We're planning an entertainment to raise funds to buy woolens for the children. We'll have a singer from the opera. It'll be frosting on the cake if you would persuade one of your artist friends to come and do some sketches. You know, such interesting people, Charles.
I'm happy to make some inquiries.
The matron just recently informed us that their supply of winter clothing is woefully inadequate. And at this late date, it's something of an emergency.
You can count on my contribution. Did you hear something? It sounds like there's someone or something in the kitchen. My housekeeper left hours ago.
I'll go investigate.
You're very generous, Charles. I'm sure the children will be grateful.
I'm not looking for gratitude. Those children got a raw deal.
Look what I found in the kitchen.
Let go of her, Edward. I'm sure the young lady can explain her presence in my house.
I must have come into the wrong house. So silly of me. You see, I just started working here. I mean, in another house on the same block, of course. Not here exactly, but the back doors all look so very similar, and I was in a hurry to get inside, it being so cold out. I beg your pardon, sir.
I see. Who is your employer so I can direct you to the right house?
Mrs. Murrison. They just moved in. I don't suppose you've met them yet.
I look forward to making their acquaintance. As long as you're here, would you be good enough to bring us a plate of cookies? The cookie jar is just inside the pantry door.
Of course I will.
Your contribution will be put to good use, Charles. Will you read one more verse before we go?
While Latimer reads, Nance, now wearing an apron, returns with a plate of cookies and offers it to each person.
With pleasure. Ah, love, could thou and I with fate conspire to grasp the sorry scheme of things entire? Would not we shatter it to bits and then remold it nearer to the heart's desire?
Edward drinks from his hip flask.
Edward, I wish you wouldn't.
If wishes were horses, Latimer?
No, thank you. The grape that can with logic absolute the 2 and 70 jarring sects confute, the subtle alchemist that in a trice life's leaden metal into gold transmute. How sweet its moral sovereignty, think some, others how blessed this paradise to come. Ah, take the cash in hand and wave the rest. Oh, the brave music of a distant drum.
There is a knock at the door.
Oh, Edward, will you see who's at the door, please? Perhaps this young lady's employer is looking for her.
Edward goes to the door and admits the policeman.
Good afternoon, Sergeant.
Sorry, Mr. Latimer. I didn't realize you had guests.
Oh, it's really time we were leaving anyway, Sergeant. Don't mind us. We can see ourselves out, Charles.
Nice seeing you, Latimer.
And thank you for your generosity with the orphans.
Now, Sergeant, how may I help you?
I'm looking for a female pickpocket who ran off in this direction. About this tall, wearing a red coat. She stole a gentleman's watch.
No, I haven't seen anyone like that, but I'll keep an eye out.
We can't be too careful. I don't think I've met your new housekeeper.
This is Miss Omar, my secretary.
Your secretary wears an apron.
It's my housekeeper's afternoon off. Miss Omar was good enough to assist while I had guests. She's versatile, you see.
Well, then, Miss Omar. The guests are gone, so it must be time for you to be leaving too. I'd be happy to escort you, if you'll go and get your clothes.
No, Sergeant. I'm afraid I can't spare Miss Omar just yet. One of the results of my affliction is that my vision grows weaker as the day progresses. Miss Omar reads to me when my eyes are tired. We were just about to begin. I'm sure you wouldn't want to deprive an invalid of a bit of poetry.
Poetry?
Yes.
Latimer hands Nance the book upside down.
Read, please.
Now?
Now.
Nance holds the book upside down for a long moment, then turns the book over very slowly and begins to read.
After a momentary silence spake, some vessel of a more ungainly make. They sneer at me for leaning all awry. What, did the hand then of the potter shake? Whereat someone of a loquacious lot, I think a Sufi pipkin waxing hot. All of this in pot and potter, tell me then, who is the potter, pray, and who is the pot?
Satisfied, Sergeant? She reads quite nicely, don't you think?
Oh yes, very nicely. I'll keep watch outside for a while, in case the thief is still somewhere nearby. Have a pleasant evening.
Sit down, we need to have a talk. Oh, am I in your way? Did you leave your coat hanging on a peg in my kitchen, perchance?
What's that to you?
Well, our friend the sergeant is watching in the street, just in case that young woman he's looking for turns up. So I don't think it would be wise for you to leave my house wearing a red coat. It is red, isn't it? You might abandon the coat, of course, but as you yourself pointed out, it's very cold outside.
Nance sits.
Good. Now, if I were a less forgiving sort of person, I might be angry at my housekeeper for leaving the back door unlocked. It's possible that her employment would be in jeopardy. Was that your intention?
Oh, I didn't
You
think
didn't
I would...
think about how your actions might affect someone else, is that it? It's a habit you might want to cultivate.
What is this book?
Oh, how deftly you changed the subject. As you wish. The book was written about 900 years ago by a Persian mathematician. I'm sorry, but I can't let you keep this particular copy. It was inscribed to me by a dear friend who is now deceased, so it's very precious to me. But you're welcome to come and read to me another time.
Latimer wheels himself to a window and looks out.
No sign of the sergeant. I'll let you out the back way, just in case. But first, I must insist that you return my letter opener.
Nance takes Latimer's letter opener from her boot and hands it to him.
Thank you.
What's your graft anyway? When your friends were here, Mrs. Dowager Diamonds and her nosy husband and that man in the uniform, why the devil did you make believe that I was on the up and up?
Before I came to sit in this wheelchair day and night, year in and year out, I was a trial lawyer. I'm still a lawyer, of course, only now I advise people about contracts. My work isn't wholly without interests. Many of my clients are artists and theatre people, but I find this whole life altogether too sedate for my taste. I take great pleasure in a bit of excitement, and I've developed an affinity for the underdog.
And what if I didn't know how to read? What then?
Then you would have been compelled to leave with the sergeant.
So your affinity doesn't extend to underdogs who also haven't been taught reading.
Apparently I will ponder my prejudices.
Well, go right ahead and ponder. I'm leaving.
There is one other thing before you go. I believe you have a gentleman's watch in your possession. I've got to have it, you know, to send it back to its rightful owner if I possibly can. I don't mind helping a person who's gotten herself into a scrape, but I can't let her get away with her plunder without being that kind of person myself. So...
I couldn't. I couldn't.
Certainly you could, if it's a matter of privacy.
No. It's nothing.
Ah, you have an accomplice. He'll be angry if you return empty-handed. Perhaps angry enough to hurt you.
No, he wouldn't.
Oh, I think he would. Your fear belies your words. Very well. In the interests of your safety, I withdraw my request. I'm sure my advice is unwelcome, but I think it's unwise to keep company with someone who frightens you.
Well, I can look out for myself. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night then, Miss Omar. Until next time.
The vaudeville stage. Fred enters.
A song about stolen property.
The vaudeville performers, Wilson and Ginger, dressed as teenage boys, enter the scene of a pawn shop counter where they are arguing with a fence over some stolen goods they are trying to pawn.
A pair of ladies' gloves, a locket on a chain, a basket that some foolish girl abandoned on the morning train.
I'm being very generous to give you 30 cents. The gloves are worn, the basket's frayed, the locket has some ugly dents.
It isn't right, it isn't fair, these things are worth at least $1. However will we lift ourselves above this life of sin and squalor?
30 cents. Take it or leave it.
The boys exit and the landlord enters.
Good morning, Mrs. Brown. The rent is overdue.
I haven't got the cash to pay. This locket now belongs to you.
The fence gives the locket to the landlord, who takes it to a bar and approaches a prostitute.
Come here where I can see. You're looking very nice. Let's go enjoy a bit of sport. This locket here will pay your price.
The landlord and the prostitute exit together. The policeman enters the bar and gets a free drink. The landlord exits buttoning up his pants, and the policeman approaches the prostitute.
I'm making a request, unless you can explain just how it is you came to have that pretty locket on a chain.
My saintly mother passed away, and this is what she left to me.
Soliciting immoral acts, this locket here will pay your fee.
It isn't right, it isn't fair. My honest work procured that locket. You're nothing but a common thief to put my necklace in your pocket.
Maybe you'd like these bracelets.
The prostitute exits. The teen boys enter and pick the policeman's pocket of the locket while he sings.
My wife will scold me when I get back home. You're late again, she will complain.
Let's take that again from bar 59.
My
wife will scold when I get home. You're late again,
she will complain. I'll calm her with a little gift, a pretty locket on a chain.
The teen boys head back to the pawn shop where the fence is waiting.
A pair of ladies' gloves, a locket on a chain, a basket that some foolish girl abandoned on the evening train.
Tom is in an alley, smoking and pacing when Nance enters.
What took you so long? I was worried you got pinched.
Nance old and pinched? How could you think such a thing about a girl in a red wool coat with a chinchilla collar? Why, next thing you know, I'll be wearing Lady Grey's diamonds and we'll be on a ship bound for Paris.
Where is it?
In France.
You devil. Give me the watch.
Oh, that old thing.
Nance hands the watch to Tom.
Oh, it's a beauty. Now tell me how you came by that fancy coat.
Well, I went into the ladies' lounge to get away from a policeman who looked much too interested. And there it was, hanging on a peg right next to my old coat. And, oh, Tom, what can I do but slip into this beauty while that fool girl who owned it sat there just primping in front of the mirror? Oh, and then
Never
I
mind. Tell me the rest at supper.
Oh, you remembered.
Don't ever say I don't know how to show you a good time. We'll just stop in at Mother Dowdy's and see what she'll give us for this little beauty. And that coat, too.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. You stand out too much in a red coat like that. You're too...
Conspicuous?
Well, get you an ordinary coat.
But, Tom, it's...
Are you arguing with me?
No, Tom. Of course not. But someday I'll have a coat just like this one. And I'll be as elegant as Lady Grey in the vaudeville show.
Sure, Nance. Someday.
The vaudeville stage. Lady Grey is wearing a very large pink diamond on a chain. The rest of the vaudeville cast are dressed as English lords and ladies, and one is dressed as a king.
A song about Lady Grey and her famous diamonds.
When Lady Grey goes out to walk, the people gawk. They stop and gaze. The little birdies in the sky forget to fly, for they are in a daze. The silver moon up in the sky says, my oh my, she shines so bright. And up above, the very sun says, I'm not done, for she gives off more light. How they sparkle and glow from her head to her toe. She has rubies and diamonds galore. And to count all her jewels, we do not have the tools. There are dozens, nay hundreds, nay more. The accountants say, whoa, we will just never know. It is simply too much of a chore. When Lady Grey went up to town to see the king and kiss his ring, she wore her finest gown. The king did say,
to my dismay, you're causing me to frown. Take off your dress, that is unless you wish to leave, for I perceive you're brighter than my crown.
how they sparkle and glow from her head to her toe. She has rubies and diamonds galore. And to count all her jewels, we do not have the tools. There are dozens, nay hundreds, nay more. The accountants say, whoa, we will just never know. It is simply too much of a chore.
Later that night, Tom and Nance are in the dark alley behind Latimer's house.
Blow it all in. We'll spend a week at the Waldorf, and then Tom Dorgan will go to Paris, yes. Oh, I want a red coat like that one that we sold, and a low-neck satin gown.
Quiet, Nance. All you have to do is stay here and keep watch. Bark like a dog if a cop comes by. I'll hear you. If there's trouble inside, if anything happens, I'll do the same. Run away if you hear me. There's no point in us both getting pinched.
What could happen? He's a cripple.
With a job like this, you never know. It's different from lifting.
When we're done, I want a silk petticoat with lace and a chain with rhinestones and a
Just
pair of...
keep quiet while I get to work on that lock.
I'm so fidgety that I have to talk or I'll shriek.
Well, you'll shut up all the same, you hear me? Look here, Nance. Are you gonna flunk? Say it now, yes or no?
Tom Dorgan, I bet that your own teeth chattered the first time that you went in for a thing like this. I'm all right. I'm all right, and you'll squeal before I do.
We'll see about that. Now remember what I said.
Yes, Tom.
While Nance waits, Tom goes into Latimer's house. A barking dog is heard. Nance starts to run away and then runs up to Latimer's back steps and reappears in Latimer's bedroom, where Latimer is sitting up in bed with a pistol in his hands pointed at Tom.
Damn it, Nance, don't just stand there. Knock the gun out of his hand.
If you do it, he will kill me. Do you understand? And both of you will face the charge of murder.
You mean to do him dreadful harm, murder.
Nance, do what I say.
The police are on their way. I've sounded the alarm.
You didn't tell me that he had a gun.
I didn't know.
Listen to me, Nance.
That whistle says it's time to go. We've got to run.
Don't hesitate or else we'll lose our chance.
Your friend is nothing but a worthless bum. Don't throw it all your life for him. Get out of here before they come.
Can't get by without me, Nance. You won't survive if I get pinched. You wrecked that plan, you stupid chump. We could have took them if you hadn't flinched.
Goodbye, Tom.
Put him in the handcuffs!
All right, buddy, let's go.
Wait for me, Nance. I'll be back. God, they will lock me away like a beast in a cage. Will I never again see the light of day? Will I live in chains till my hair turns gray? No,
are you still here? They're gone. Helping you is proving rather unrewarding.
So why...
Why give you a second chance? In order to ensure for myself another of your most interesting visits, I suppose. Tell me, is there anything I can do for you? Aren't you sick of this sort of life?
What's that to you?
To me, I'm the luckless part marred in the making. But you're full of promise like the saucy pipkin, and free to make your own destiny. Will you read to me a bit before you go?
As you say. Come fill the cup, and in the fire of spring, the winter garment of repentance fling. The bird of time has but a little way to fly, and lo, the bird is on the wing.
Mother Doughty's pawn shop. Nance enters. She's wearing a brooch, but she offers Mother Doughty a cigarette lighter.
Is that all you got? Just a cigarette lighter? Well, it's a good one. I'll give you $1 for it. So where's your pretty boy today, Miss Nance? Got himself nabbed? Let me see that brooch.
Well, Tom gave me this brooch. It's not for sale.
Sure it is. Hand it over. Don't be stupid.
Nance gives her the brooch.
Not bad. I'll give you $4.
Well, Tom paid $50 for it.
Did he now? Take the money and find yourself another fingersmith to work with.
Oh, Tom would kill me.
Your Tommy boy's a goner.
He'll be back.
Sure he will. Here you go. $3.50.
But you said...
You misheard me, darling.
Give me back my brooch.
You won't get a better price.
I told you it is not for sale.
You got a lot to learn, dearie.
The next day, Nance walks along a downtown street and pauses at the Macy's store window.
How will I get by on my own? From the day I left the charity, my life with Tommy is the only thing I've ever known. What will I do? Where will I go? I guess I'll go on lifting. It's the only way to make a living that I know. Stopping by the Macy's window, longing for these lovely things. Every silk and satin gown, the bangles and the sparkling rings, velvet skirts and frilly blouses, dresses trimmed with precious lace. Safe behind the glass, they flaunt their poodle in a poor girl's face. There must be a way to take it. Somehow I must find my chance. Tommy isn't here to claim it, and I can disappear to France. These jewels, they wink at me like brazen hussies, taunting me, tormenting me, they glow. But we share a little secret, like a whisper on the lips of sisters, for they know that none of them can fill me with delight, like that rose among the diamonds Lady Grey wears, that precious thing that sparkles on her bosom
dark, Nance moves about silently. An electric light is suddenly switched on.
May I help you?
I'm here to audition.
Do you have an appointment with someone?
I do, Mr. Obermuller.
Mr. Obermuller. Are you sure you have the right day? We don't usually hold auditions on Tuesdays.
Oh, could it be that I got the dates mixed up, maybe? Or maybe I'm supposed to be across the street at the Grand.
Now, why would they go to the trouble of holding auditions at the Grand when they can resort to the simple expedient of poaching performers away from other theaters? You might be shocked to hear that there are people in this world who think it's perfectly all right to help themselves to what doesn't belong to them. But I don't suppose you'd know anything about that.
What I know is that it's everybody's graft to take all that he can get and keep out of jail. I expect it's Mr. Obermuller's too. How else did he get to own this magnificent theater with red velvet curtains and electric lights and all the people dropping their nickels in the box and crowding in every day to watch Lady Grade parade around in her jewels? You cannot expect me to believe that through honest work.
I'm the very fellow you have chosen to revile. But owning such a building, I'm afraid that's not my style. I manage these theatricals, the profit isn't great. I do my best to pay the bills, alas, I'm often late. But I'm keeping out of prison, and it's really not a threat. For we long ago abolished imprisonment for debt.
Appearances betray you. Your pinky ring is gold. Your tie is silk. Your studs are pearl. Don't say it isn't so.
Appearance is deceptive, as I suspect you know. The pinky ring's inherited, the rest is there for show. The audience prefers to think I earn a decent wage. You realize illusion is a hallmark of the stage. Now we're halfway to acquaintance, I've given you my name. Kindly have the courtesy to let me know the same.
Well, you're mighty smart, ain't you, Mr. Manager? You can stand here and sneer like you're better than me. Makes you feel awfully cocky, don't it? Oh, what a big man I am.
And your name would be?
My name is Nancy Alden from the Charity for Orphans. I was put there as a baby, and I didn't even know there was such a thing as families till another girl explained it. She was a sad one, made me think my lucky stars I never had one. The smallest little boy, he was black and blue all over. His father had attempted to gouge out both his eyes. They put him in a dress. It was the only thing that fit him. There was nothing else his size. Another boy was crippled, all lopsided and twitchy. He would jerk around the room like this, and all of us would stand around and cheer. Oh, go ahead and laugh. He isn't here. The patrons came to visit, those charitable ladies who amuse themselves by giving on to others. The matron told us chickies, you must act as sweet as honey, make those ladies feel as if they were your mothers. Those patronizing ladies, with their purses full of money, I knew how to get to them. And in my pious sing-song.
Well, let's hear a bit of that pious sing-song. You're here to audition, remember?
My faith looks up to thee, thou Lamb of Calvary, Savior divine. Now hear me while I pray, take all my guilt away. Oh, let me from this day be wholly thine.
You do make it sound very heartfelt. person might almost think you were sincere. Now, maybe something a little livelier. Something you've heard in a show?
I am Captain Jinx of the Horse Marines. I often live beyond my means.
And sport young ladies in their teens. You know, you've got it. There's no one in Manhattan who has an eye like mine. You've got a natural talent that I think I could refine. Come by tomorrow and we're gonna write a skit about the antics at the orphanage. It's sure to be a hit.
You want people to laugh at orphans?
There's nothing people enjoy quite so much as someone else's misery. How old are you?
21.
And I'm Thomas Edison. Tell me something I can allow myself to believe.
18.
All right. Ginger! I'll give you a chance as one of the charity girls.
Me on stage with Lady Grey?
Do you want it?
Oh, yes, God, I want it!
Go fetch Betty. Miss Olden, if so much as a hat piece goes missing from this theater, you're done.
Why, Mr. Obermuller, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Betty enters in a dressing gown.
Miss Olden, this is Betty Blackburn. You'll be sharing a dressing room with her. I'll let her show you around. Keep in mind, I run a clean show. I don't allow profanity or suggestive jokes, not even backstage. And no private entertainments with the customers. I'll get some play scripts for you to read, and then we'll talk about your salary. Oh, and pay attention to Betty. You can learn a lot from her. She's one of the most accomplished performers in vaudeville. Don't be modest. Everyone admires you.
He's good to work for, but he can be a stickler. I can't help it if men admire me. Even Ginger, the errand boy, he's crazy about me. I'd never take up with him, of course. He's only a child. You'll get to know everyone around here pretty quick. Constant and Maggie are next to us, then Gray. Her ladyship has a private dressing room.
Lady Grey? She's just down this hallway?
No, she's not there now. Her act's just ending. I think she's about to take her bow.
A real English lady right down this hall.
Well, she's a real lady as the wife of a lord can be. Lord Hal Grey is a sure enough lord and she's his wife, but she's just a chippy, same as us.
No.
She was a chorus girl when she's nabbed Lord Harrow.
A chorus girl has the rose diamond?
Yep.
You'd better keep your eye on Nance Olden then. I just might marry Tsar Nicholas and deck myself out in the crown jewels of Russia.
Lady Grey enters in her dazzling jewels and carrying a huge bouquet of roses, which she gives to Ginger. He is mesmerized by her and doesn't move.
What stoked you? Go put those in the icebox. Stupid boy. Who's this?
She's Nance. Fred just hired her.
How do you do? I'm thrilled to meet you. You can't imagine how many times I've seen your act and stood at the stage door just to catch a glimpse of you.
Where'd you work before this?
This is my first theatrical job.
Well, in case you were thinking there might be a shortcut to the top in this theater, you just think again. Mr. Obermuller doesn't mix with the actresses, does he, Betty?
Speak of the devil, and he doth appear.
Fred enters and hands Nance a few booklets.
Some plays for you to read. Better yet, go see as many plays as you can, not just vaudeville. Go see the legit stuff. The classics, go see Hamlet at the Victoria, and the new stuff too. Shaw, Oscar Wilde, all of it has something to teach you. And we'll get to work on that act about the Foundling Asylum. Here's a backstage pass. I'll see you tomorrow. Keep an eye on her for me, will you?
On the street immediately following, Nance skips and twirls on her way home.
La 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 la, that's the life in the army.
The next morning, Nance returns and stands outside the stage door.
I'm standing at the stage door. I've stood here many times before, but this time I've been invited to step inside. I'm standing at the stage door as giddy as a bride. I'm standing at the stage door. I'm feeling very upper class. I didn't have to pick the lock or bribe the guard. I have a pass. What if I'm no good? What if Mr. Obermuller's wrong? I'll open up my mouth and out will come a woeful wail instead of an amusing song. God, in front of all those people, the ones who pay to see, they'll hiss and boo and throw things. The joke will be on me. Now, Nance, this is just another type of graft. That's all. It's making people think that you're something that you're not. Use your brains. Use your talent. Use the talent Mr. Obermuller says you've got. You're standing at the doorway, this magical divide, this happy spot. Miss Nancy Olden doesn't run away and hide. Miss Nancy Olden opens up the stage door and steps inside.
The backstage hallway, Nance enters and approaches Fred, and then Max Tausig enters.
Obermuller.
Who let you in? I don't have anything to say to you that I haven't said before. Get out of my theater.
Let's go talk in your office.
I have a better idea. Let's not.
Very well. If you don't mind discussing business in front of,
Oh, pardon me, I don't think we've been introduced.
Why, Olden? Don't you know a representative of the mighty theatrical trust when you see him? Can't you see the syndicate aureole about his noble brow? This gentleman is the great and only Max Tausig. He humbleth the exalted and uplifteth the lowly, or, if there's more money in it, he gives to him that hath, and steals from him that hasn't.
You've always been over-fond of your low comedian jokes, Obermuller. If you weren't so smart with your tongue, you'd have more friends and not so many enemies.
On rare occasions, he even attempts to buy what he can't steal. Do give it up, Tausig. I'm not selling.
Is this what you really want? To spend the rest of your life running this crummy little joint?
It's my heart's fondest desire. Now get out.
You are a promising writer. I can't think how you'll ever find the time to put pen to paper again.
Your concern for my literary future is deeply touching. Leave!
Oh, we haven't concluded our business.
I wouldn't expect you to understand the concept of honor, but I promised my stepfather I'd keep this theater in the family. I intend to keep my word.
You're a fool, Obermuller. Your stepfather was a cheap huckster, a purveyor of smut and curiosities. You're throwing away your talent for a two-bit burlesque house.
I run a clean show.
You'll soon be running it with fewer performers. Isn't that the golden voice of Jimmy Hennessy we're enjoying right now? Hasn't he told you? He's opening for me on Friday.
Jimmy's leaving?
You son of a bitch.
I simply offered him a bit more than you're paying. There's a man who knows which side his bread is buttered on. Happily, not everyone is encumbered by your crippling sense of honor. I wouldn't be surprised if some of your other performers were similarly inclined.
Out!
You know where to find me.
As long as it isn't here.
What's the theatrical trust?
It's a group of theatrical managers in various cities who are trying to control all the vaudeville shows and performers. I have incurred the almighty wrath of Max Tausig and his familiars by refusing to join, so he's trying to buy me out, as I expect you may have surmised. Meet me in my office after your supper break. The Foundling Asylum. As they say, money talks.
Money talks and someone walks.
That won't be the end of it. Trust me, he'll be back for more. The Pirelli brothers, Gray, you.
I wouldn't give him the time of day,
You haven't heard his offer yet.
and I'm not likely to, so let's not worry about it.
The vaudeville stage, Fred enters.
The Lady Patroness visits the charity orphanage.
As Fred exits, Lady Gray, as the lady patroness, enters in all her bejeweled finery. The other vaudeville performers play the matron and the little orphan girls. Go on, ladies, you're the orphans.
They're parading us before you. We are ever so polite. With our hair done up in ribbons, you will weaken at the sight. You provide our food and clothing, so we won't display our loathing and undermine this happy little show. Remember that the more you give, the more you feel that saintly glow.
Nance enters in a horrible red wig, looking dirty and bedraggled. She makes an elaborate curtsy to the matron, and we hear the audience stamp and whistle.
We are cleaned and scrubbed and polished till we make a pretty sight. We're admonished not to fidget or to scratch or kick or bite.
They've hidden all the babies who have runny eyes or scabies. We've been told 100 times we must wait for you to leave before we wipe our nasty little noses on our sleeve.
Your benevolence is limitless and great. You provide the very food upon our plate.
We would never be so cruel as to make you taste this gruel, for that would be a naughty thing to do. Oh, they serve it every day. It is thin and cold and gray, and as we spoon it up,
we think of you.
Thank you, Lady Patroness, thank you, for giving us these comforts you bequeath. There is nothing so beguiling as a little orphan smiling.
Unless her papa busted up her teeth.
There is no one you will meet who is even half as sweet, or as grateful as a little orphan child, nor as innocent and pure. Yes, of this you may be sure.
Assuming that she hasn't been defiled.
Thank you, Lady Patroness. Thank. Don't forget to hurry to the bank.
Thank you, Lady Patroness. Thank you.
Go home and count the jewels around your neck.
We can see there's quite a few, so here's what you need to do. Just add another 0 to your check.
Check.
The crowd goes wild for Nance's performance, and Ginger brings her a big bouquet of flowers. Then backstage, Fred and Lady Grey enter.
She upstaged me, your little pet, your...
What word were you looking for, Gray?
How dare you play me such a trick, Fred Obermuller? I'm the Lady Patroness. The act is supposed to be all about me. I was never treated so badly in my life. To have that dirty little wretch come tumbling on like that without even so much as you telling me you made up all that business for her. It's indecent anyway. I won't stand for it.
It's Olden's act, and you will stand for it.
Nance enters with arms full of roses.
We'll see about that.
Well, Olden, it seems the audience likes the sound of your voice almost as much as you do yourself. I just got a call from the reporter at the X-Ray, wants an interview, along with an artist to make sketches of you. We'll get a half-page article at least. Just goes to show Fred Obermuller knows how to pick 'em. Oh, I just knew you had it. I'm going to write a play for you. A full-length comedy, not just a vaudeville skit. Didn't I make it clear that you're not welcome here?
I didn't come here to see you. Clever little girl, how much do you stick Obermuller for?
Clever little man, none of your business.
Olden, answered the gentleman prettily. Along with being the mastermind of the infamous theatrical trust, Mr. Tausig manages the Grand Theater, the one right across the street. For all practical purposes for one in your profession, Nancy Olden, he's just God. Down on your knees and lick his boots and thank him for permitting it, you lucky baggage. Don't be too quick to reject his offer.
You mustn't give the young woman a big head, Obermuller. I ain't prepared to make any startling offer to a little girl that's just barely got her nose above the wall. But we'll give her a chance, and because of what it may lead to if she works hard, there ain't so much in it in a money way as you might imagine. She may be worth something to you, measured up against the dubs you've got, but to us...
To you, it's not so much your having her as mine not having her.
Exactly. Just how much is your interest in her worth?
Well, only a 6-year contract.
Wow. You're an even bigger fool than I thought, Obermuller. Good day.
What's your game, Olden? You holding out for higher stakes? Do you expect him to buy that imaginary 6-year contract and divvy up the proceeds with me? Because once he's got his eye on you, he'll have you, and to turn up your nose at his offer is just the way to make him itch for you. But how the deuce did you know that? And where do you get the nerve from anyway? A little beggar like you refusing an offer from the theatrical trust? And sit hatching your schemes on your little $16 a week? I'll have to give you a raise now, I suppose. I'm afraid it won't be much. But I might be able to get some outside work like private parties and the like. Interested?
Of course I am. But why aren't you in the trust, Fred Obermuller?
Why aren't you in society, Nance?
Well, society's prejudiced against lifting. But that trust is a great graft, Mr. Obermuller. Lifting wholesale. Why don't you get in?
Because a trust is like a lot of sailors on a raft who keep their places by kicking off the drowning hands that clutch on it. Can you fancy a fellow like Mats Tausig stooping down to help me tenderly on board to divide the pickings?
No. But I do fancy you grappling with him till he'd be glad to take you on rather than be pulled down himself.
I think you heard me tell Max Tausig that my stepfather started this vaudeville company, and I promised him I'd keep it going. My stepfather raised me. I wasn't his, but he didn't care. My mother, well, let's just say my stepfather wasn't a judgmental man. Do you understand? He was kind to everyone, so no. I don't think I'll be getting on board with Max Tausig. But I suppose you'd be in with the push, wouldn't you, Holden? If you were me.
Well, I'd be at the top, wherever that was.
And why the deuce don't you jump at Tausig's offer?
Because I am an artiste, monsieur. I must have about me those who are congenial.
You monkey. And when Tausig comes to buy your contract...
One could tell him to go to Thunder. That theatrical trust would be a crime.
You've hit the nail on the head, Holden. Here's a rumor. A creditable rumor, I think, that Max Tausig has an illegal agreement with some theatrical managers in Philly and Chicago. I'd love to get my hands on that piece of paper. Have you ever heard of the Sherman Antitrust Act?
The vaudeville stage. The performers are dressed as swaggering millionaires. One of them is dressed as Uncle Sam.
A song about wealthy men.
Mr. Carnegie, Mr. Rockefeller, Mr. Morgan, and Mr. Vanderbilt. Tell me the secret of your success.
In business it is simple to make it to the top. It's quite a nice advantage to have the only shop. The buyers can't go elsewhere because there are no other firms. The same goes for suppliers, they have to meet our terms. If any competition should move in down the street, we ruthlessly destroy them, we drive them to defeat. We lower all our prices till they have to lower theirs. And when they hit the bottom, we buy up all their shares. Hop, 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 hop. We bought up all the factories, the steamships and the trains. We're captains of industry, we're counting out our gains. You may not like our methods, you may disapprove our schemes, but we are rich, rich, rich as Croesus. Rich beyond our wildest dreams. Hop, 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 hop.
The millionaires blow smoke in Uncle Sam's face. The policeman enters with a judge.
Listen carefully to what I say. I do not like the cutthroat game you play. The deck is so unfairly stacked, I give you, gentlemen, the Sherman Act. The Sherman Act. Monopolies and trusts must be divested, and those who don't comply will be arrested. Restraint of trade is now a crime. You'll pay a hefty fee and do some time.
It's a felony. I find you guilty, guilty, guilty.
The policeman chains up the millionaires with a gray paper chain. But when Uncle Sam turns his back, the millionaires break their paper chains.
We have some clever lawyers, we know some judges too. They're looking for the loopholes, they're good at what they do. We're sure to be successful, it's simple, so take heed. We crush the competition and leave them there to bleed. Hop, 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 hop,
Backstage, Lady Grey goes by decked out in her jewels. Nance enters in her dressing room where Betty is doing vocal exercises.
Why does Lady Grey's husband let her go on stage with all those precious things?
Well, you see, it's this way. Lord Harold Gray's bankrupt. Isn't that funny? He's as poor as, well, me. But he's got the Gray family's jewels, all right, for as long as he lives. Nary a one can he sell, though. After his death, they go to the next Lord Gray. It's some old English law. So those jewels make a living for him. Since they can't go on and exhibit themselves, Lady Grey sports him, and she draws down $200 a week because of those jewels.
200?
Yep, 200. But her fancy lord husband takes it all to Saratoga Springs and throws it away on the ponies as fast as she earns it.
Imagine holding that rose diamond right in your own hand. I suppose Lady Grey keeps it very carefully guarded.
You might think so, but she only has Topham. The fellow who plays the king, Fred, Mr. Obermuller, keeps telling her to hire a guard from Pinkerton's, but oh no, she's far too stingy. She and Topham go way back. He used to have a tap dancing act, but now he just follows her around like a puppy. He lays out those diamonds for her every time she goes on stage and puts them away in a combination safe at night.
How much do you suppose they're worth?
Well, Fred says the rose diamond alone is worth at least $50,000.
$50,000? A person who has $50,000 could buy an apartment building. Oh, she'd be set for life. That is, if she could bear to part with that lovely thing. Is he the only guard that she's got? Topham, I mean.
Well, that's about the size of it. Fred worries about it. I know.
Doesn't Mr. Topham dance anymore?
Oh no, he has some problem with his knees. You're not interested in him, are you?
Oh, heavens no.
He's a strange one. He just sits there in her dressing room, helping her on and off with those jewels, however many times a day, while she changes in and out of her costumes. You'd think the poor man would get tired of seeing her in her corset over when he knows that's all he'll ever get. But I suppose hope springs eternal, if you ask me. There's something off kilter about the whole arrangement. But you didn't ask me. I'm going to dance with the violinist after the show. Want to come along? I could fix you up with one of the men in the band.
No thanks.
You got someone?
Sure.
Well then, ask him to come along. We'll make it a foursome.
He's away.
Oh, well, next time then.
He'll be gone for 2 years. He's a captain in the army.
Oh, you poor thing. But you must be so proud of him. Why don't you write to him? He's sure to be missing you.
A letter to Tom?
Betty exits.
My dearest Tom, I have some happy news that I'm just bursting to relate. Would you believe I'm working at the vaudeville right next to Lady Grey? It must be fate. I could take that treasure now, but I believe that I'll postpone it till a later date. I'm starring in a skit about the charity. But wait, oh Nance, it's not polite to start writing about yourself like that. You should begin a letter by inquiring about the person you're addressing. My dearest Tom, how are you doing there? I hope this letter finds you well. I have some news to brighten up your mood. I'm singing on the stage, and you are locked up in a cell. Oh, what's the use? Whatever can I say that won't seem rude? And truth to tell, a cheerful missive isn't what he needs. Besides, it's not as if he reads.
Backstage, Nance and Fred enter.
Holden, I've written a few scenes. Come read them with me.
Nance and Fred go to Fred's office, and Fred hands Nance some typewritten pages.
You read the part of Rosie, I'll be Mac.
When Sergeant Sullivan finds out we've been sprung, he'll be after us like a cat with a mouse.
He'll find something on us. Leave it to him.
But we'll be on a rattler for Chi-Town before he can get a warrant.
You got enough kale to carry us till we get there?
Why no, Mac, I ain't got a cent. I thought you had the sugar.
Me?
Ain't you got no money either?
I'd be tickled to death to have you search my pockets, but I ain't got enough money to buy a controlling interest in a rotten egg. I sent the first couple of scenes to Henry Richardson at the Jupiter. And he says they can't use this play.
Silly of him. Did you try the Athenian?
They don't want it either.
Well, you'll have the last laugh, Mr. O. This play is a corker.
I know it. It'll be a big hit when I find the right producer. I'll finally be able to pay my debts. Where were we?
I gotta go out and get some money.
Oh, right. I gotta go out and get some money.
But Mac, you promised me!
I don't mean to rob anybody. I mean to borrow it. I'll knock a guy down, strip him of his leather, get his name and address, Then when we get to Chicago, I'll send it back to him.
Oh, no, it won't do.
Why not?
You might forget his address.
We'll make such a hit, Olden. You and the play both. When pigs begin to fly. Oh, I've been such an ass about this play. No producer in New York is gonna touch it. Max Tausig has them all quaking in their
Oh,
boots.
you can't give up now.
It looks like he's got my back against the wall.
Then let's do it here.
This is a vaudeville theater, not the place for a full-length play. People want variety.
Well, it's a comedy. They'll love it. Once word gets out, you'll have people lining up around the block to see it.
You really think so?
Well, you never know until you try it.
All right, Olden, we'll do it. Right here at Obermuller's Vaudeville. Now, what have I got to lose? No, don't answer that.
Gray, decked out in her jewels, is in her dressing room where Topham is reading the newspaper. She hands each piece of jewelry to Topham, who lays it out carefully on a table covered by a cloth.
The police raided the Turkish bath at the Artisan Hotel and arrested 34 men.
I saw Betty leaving with Angelo. I swear she's dated every man in the show.
Not me.
Well, of course not you. Where's my purple boa?
I haven't seen it.
I'll bet that new girl took it.
We now begin a passage of time sequence. The vaudeville performers all begin in their winter coats. Everyone.
Winter. It's winter. The icy winds blow up from the river. We bundle up inside our coats and shiver. It's brutally cold.
In their dressing room, Ginger and Wilson hang up their coats.
Oh, it's like a photograph projected onto a big screen, but the people actually move.
Now in several small scenes, including a magician conjuring flowers for Betty. Lady Gray pours herself a drink and offers the bottle to Topham.
President Roosevelt signed the Anarchist Exclusion Act.
Fred sees Betty with the flowers.
Anyone special?
Oh, Fred, don't.
It's nothing like my mama
In
said.
their dressing room, Constance and Maggie are stroking each other. Then the magician enters holding his magician's hat in his hand.
The damn rabbit escaped again!
Betty and Jacob enter. And Jacob says, "Would you like to go with me to Luna Park tomorrow?"
I'm sorry, Jacob. I'm planning to go hear Emma Goldman speak at Cooper Union.
Wilson runs up to Ginger.
Angelo's got some Bernie.
Betty enters Fred's office.
A woman flew a dirigible across France all by herself.
We hear sounds of pleasure from Constance and Maggie. In Gray's dressing room, Topham puts down his newspaper.
49 Jews were murdered in Russia.
The vaudeville performers all pick up umbrellas.
Springtime. It's
It's
springtime.
springtime.
We come in from the street, all wet and dripping, in spite of the umbrellas that we're ripping. It's woefully wet.
In Fred's office, Fred and Nancy are rehearsing a script.
Say, you and Sully, you're not,
Why, Mac, what a thing to say.
Do you love me, Rosie?
Oh, Mac, you know I do. You're as precious to me as you are to the police.
Ginger enters and hands Fred a letter.
Mrs. Henrietta Ramsey's giving a party to raise money for the charity orphanage. She's asking me to send someone to entertain her guests. You'd be helping a good cause and earn some extra money. Will you do it?
Yes.
You've heard of Mrs. Ramsey. Her husband is Edward Ramsey. He owns half of the tenement buildings in Manhattan. Mrs. Ramsey's a very kind woman. Just do your Dewberry imitation. Make her guests laugh. And that sort of thing, society parties and the like can be very good for your career.
Now, in Gray's dressing room,
The king and queen of Serbia were dragged out of their beds and murdered.
Serbia? Where's that?
the vaudeville performers remove their jackets and roll up their sleeves.
Summer, it's
It's
summer.
summer.
We shed half our clothes, but we are sweating.
Max enters.
I'm gonna put him out of business, just in case you were forgetting.
And Tom slinks furtively across the stage as the lights dim to black and the end of Act 1. We'll take a short intermission and then we'll come back. Thank you.
Well, that was fun. And we're halfway there.
Oh, I didn't remind you when I fucked up the song.
That was a little bit.
Released it. It's done now.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's done now.
That's not what you said.
I did. I just said it in an accent that wasn't American. You called it into question. But I still said the right word.
Yes, for dinner. I just wanted to hear it again because I
Here,
enjoyed it.
right now, you're familiar.
I'm so happy that you get to sing so much in this one.
Oh.
Because across the street, you get to sing like a couple of like.
Yeah, that one was fun. It was just like, wait.
This one is like shows you off.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Such a
Right. I think I accidentally stole someone's Uncle Sam part. Because in like the cast list it said someone else was doing it. And I think I got confused when we did that read through. And I just like said, I think it's like,
Which one?
the Uncle Sam stuff. I think I stole it from someone.
Oh. I'm glad you're doing it.
People, I mean, there's some parts and
Yeah.
like some of the stuff, like.
Yeah.
Clearly, no one knew who was playing Jacob. The one line.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, that's what happens when you do rehearsals.
Yeah.
Yep. Welcome again, sir.
Yes. Started the weekend.
Yeah, those I was like, oh.
Yeah, now I've made it over to the Irish side finally, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Not gonna make it across the street.
Yeah. I just can't wait for my favorite one. I don't know why I love that line so much.
Dentist and your teeth all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, happy I brought a second bottle because I just finished the first. It's like, oh, this is good.
I got here and I went, I totally agree with that.
So
Was really dumb. So I bought one.
Yeah. Do you have any other readings left, or is this the last one?
This is the last reading and then just we're doing
The thing today?
yeah, that's so. It's so crazy because it sounds like just like overdrive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
There's a lot to keep track of.
Like 3 was great because I really only did 2. Because the other one was like,
A cold.
yeah. So that was like not like really doing each one.
You know what, are you staying through not musical tonight? Okay, yeah, let's do it after. Let's do that.
How's it going over there, Ron? Okay. Great. We sound wonderful.
It's been a long week.
Yeah,
I was
I can
gonna say,
imagine.
how many of these have you done this week?
Let's see, 2 today. I did 1 yesterday. No, I did 2 yesterday. Solid. Friday I did 1, Thursday I did 1. So I lost count.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I mean, I can't do it, but also I couldn't do it.
Well, that's why I get the big ones.
Yeah. All 4 of them.
interesting, you know, like,
Yeah.
of course I need to hear the same compliment or whatever the case may be. I
Yeah.
just think it's really fascinating.
I mean, that's what was always fun, because I used to live in New York, so I worked on like a bunch of Broadway shows, just seeing, because I also work for producers, so I would go and see like the first readings
Yeah.
of things, and just seeing like the evolution of like how it was like, it's insane. Because I would go, like I went to a reading of But I'm a Cheerleader, the musical, which was brilliant, but then I was like, I think it's ready. Of course, they went back and scrapped and like changed everything, and now it's like a million times better. I was like, it was so great the first time. Like, why would you change it?
Yeah.
So, like, that's what's so fascinating about these is saying like what each individual person thinks. Like,
My husband came to a reading yesterday, and he always needs a second to process it because he is not a writer person at all. Like he's a writer, and he worked in journalism for a long time. So he has a very different perspective. But after he processed it, he was like, I should do this, or I really like this, and that was like interesting. So, but he didn't fall in love with it because he was like, I didn't know what to say right then. And
Yeah.
after he like sat and thought about it, I thought that was really like interesting. And he said like how it was really interesting ideas and thoughts.
yeah, I think I would be terrible if someone's like, what'd you think? Right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I need a second
Like,
to
yeah,
know.
it's like I need at least like 24 hours to like rework it through my brain.
Oh, okay. Near-ish. I was born and raised in 16 County. Hi. Oh, there you go. So you went like this and I went like that. Amazing. As long as you balance out the Sorry that it's the heat of summer here, but
Is that coffee or tea?
Water. It's water. But it looks like coffee.
Oh, because of the coffee. I was gonna say you're so lucky you can drink coffee this late. Never mind. I can't.
I should. I actually almost never drink coffee, so.
I have one cup a day.
Yeah.
In the morning. Because if I drink it now, I need to.
I think I had coffee once in my 20s. I don't know. Like,
are you
hardcore
tired
water,
of playing all these
but
shows yet?
also Diet Coke sometimes sticks in there, and that's like, okay, calm it down,
Yeah.
back to the water.
Yeah, I have my one cup of coffee.
here all
The
night.
rest of it is water.
Yeah. I mean, part of me wishes I drank coffee because I feel like that would really help me in the morning. Like, when I get to work, but it's like, oh, no, there's no saving me at that point.
That's so good. I didn't start drinking coffee until I was 24.
Oh, fun!
I mean, I think I drank it as a kid. Like, I remember going to my grandparents' house and they would, like, have a cup of coffee with grandpa type of thing. And then in college, or in high school, when we started the hip thing for forever, I would go and have, like, cafe mocha. But then after a while, I was like, I really just want hot chocolate. But yeah, but never actually, like, drink coffee.
It's a really interesting time.
What's in it? I had a really funny conversation with the composer. I was like, Kasten and I had this moment where you're walking on a chain. Him and I were like laughing together. Just like, that was a train check. So him and I were just talking about it. And he was like, I love it. Because, you know, it's not all there, but it's still great.
Here's your allotment of food for today.
Actually, you only get half of it.
I licked it before I gave it to you.
Just like eating. It's my character choice that Lady Grey is always eating.
Oh, there you go. It's just so fun.
Yeah.
I know, right? Who knew? That's it. I had 14
I decided to make this
all day.
like the first time I was like, oh,
Yeah. I'm being
I know.
standing up.
Spoken word.
Latest entertainment, so well, and then, because what thrown me is when we were doing the first Lady Grey song, I was doing all of this, but I didn't stand because I'm not singing. That's what threw me. So I saw you look to me in that like musical interlude, and then I was about to be like, out. I just trying to make bold noises.
And on to Act 2. Yay! Act 2, Nance's dressing room. Tom steps out from behind a screen.
Tommy, you've escaped.
That's about it. I forgot to say goodbye to them fellas up at the pen.
I think I'm frightened.
Oh, the Ladyfield airs of her. Aren't you going to faint, Miss Olden?
Nance Olden faint?
My sister Nora said you'd be here. Nobody will come in?
No. The girl that I share it with, Betty, she's just left on our dinner break.
They'll be after me. First jailbreak in 15 years. What do you think, your old Tommy, old girl? Eh? Ain't he the gamest? Ain't you proud of him? Now look here, Nance. I don't blame you for running out on me back there. I would have done the same. I know you wouldn't go back on a fella. That's why I come straight to you. My eye, Nance. You look good enough to eat. What's your graft? What have you been doing all this time? Come on, out with it.
I've been... Tommy, I've been to hear the greatest actors in the world say and do the finest things in the world. I've read a new book every night, a great picture book in which the pictures move and speak. That's the stage. I know another world now, not this little world of crooks. It's a world of art and artists and...
Cut it, Nance. You've been playing this stupid game and never gave me a thought.
Tommy, that isn't true. I wrote to you every day, but they sent my letters back. And I took the train up to see you with a basket full of cookies and warm socks that I knitted myself, but they wouldn't let me in.
Huh. Do you think I don't know why you're here? It's the diamond necklace of Lady Gray's. Still got you doped, ain't it? Well, now's the moment. There's gotta be a way. You've been here long enough to find it out.
Tom!
You'll lift it, and we'll scamper. And we'll hang together from now on.
Tom, listen. Lady Gray has got a personal guard who watches over her jewels every minute. Why, he's the biggest, most brutish fellow you ever saw. He used to be the strong man in the Barnum and Bailey circus. And at night, he puts every one of those jewels away in a big safe with a fancy combination lock. And you never showed me how to open one of those, which I expect is because you don't know yourself.
Have you gone all soft on me? You just quit these highfalutin ways. You're gonna make a strike and we'll skedaddle. That diamond's gonna save me from the noose. Don't give me some ridiculous excuse. I knifed the guard escaping from the pen, sliced the bastard up, and left him bleeding. But you gotta help me, Nance, because here's the thing. You wouldn't want to see your Tommy swing. We'll have a flat all to ourselves.
A whole lot of windows to let in the day. We'll stroll by the scene.
And parlez français. We'll never be safe until we're far, far away. You'd better do just like I say. What I know could land you in the slammer. You're gonna be in trouble if I tell. You'll find out what it's like to live in hell.
Betty enters.
Excuse me.
Betty, I'd like you to meet my friend, Jack the Lord.
How do you do?
I gotta go away for a while. I'll come back as soon as I can. Do like I say.
Tom grabs Nance and kisses her hard, then exits.
Fred wouldn't like it, you having a man visitor. But he'll never hear it from me. What my advice about that one?
No. No, thank you, Betty.
At Latimer's house, he is reading a letter from Nance.
My dear Mr. Latimer, I think you will remember me, the one you called a saucy pipkin. I know you will be glad to hear I've taken up a new career. I'm acting on the stage. I do a skit about a scruffy little orphan girl. It's all the rage. A friend of mine has just returned much sooner than we planned. The one from whom I learned to do a little sleight of hand. You might find this amusing. I'll be providing entertainment at a party hosted by none other than your friend, Miss Henrietta Ramsey, raising money she will send to some charity. I often think of you and the verses in that Persian book, how the clay was made unique because the fingers of the potter shook. I hope this letter finds you well. Your friend, Nance Olden.
In Henrietta's home, Nance is finishing her performance as Leslie Carter in Du Barry.
One day I should find myself out, and then off again to the old follies, to the something that pushes me on, and always away from the things that I love best. No, it could not last. Nothing ever does last with me. Why try to change myself? I am a thing of the winds.
Nance bows and acknowledges the applause, and Henrietta enters.
Miss Olden, your performance was pure delight. I wonder, have we met before? I don't quite remember, but you look familiar somehow.
Oh, I shouldn't think so, Mrs. Ramsey. I've only been with Mr. Obermuller a few months.
Well, perhaps I'm mistaken. I'll have your check sent round to you at the theater, if that's all right. I'm sure we've raised enough to buy new shoes for the orphans. I do hope you'll be willing to come back and entertain us another time.
Oh, of course. I'm glad to do it. I was brought up in the charity home myself.
No, I hadn't heard.
The Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. We called it simply the Cruelty.
Oh, my. My dear, will you permit me to take you to lunch sometime soon? I'd like to hear all about your experience at the charity home. It would help me to gain a better understanding of what the children really need. I'm sure we're missing something. Now I must say goodbye to my guests, if you will excuse me.
Of course.
Henrietta's maid brings an envelope to Nance. She opens it and reads a letter from Latimer.
My dear Miss Omar, I am happy to hear of your new occupation. You will go far, I know, given your prodigious talent for deception. I apologize for missing your performance. As you know, there are some obstacles to my making an excursion. As regards your so-called friend, I trust that you will make your own decisions and not be driven by coercion. You may visit me at any time you wish. I would welcome the diversion. As for myself, I am doing as well as can be expected. Sincerely, Charles Latimer.
Fred is alone in his office, fuming.
Damn you, Max Tausig.
Don't you think, Mr. O, that it might be as well to just quit cursing the syndicate till you've got something new to say or something different to rail about? It seems to me a man's likely to get daffy if he keeps harping on and on.
Oh, I've got it all right, Olson. Be sure of that. I've got something different to say to them and something new to swear about. They've done me up, that's all.
Tell me.
Oh, it's easy. So easy I never thought of it. They've just bought this building out of hand and served notice that when my lease expires at the end of September, they won't be able to renew it. Unfortunately, that's all. Well, no, not quite. They've made sure I won't be able to open up somewhere else, that no performer will work for me. They put the word out that anyone that works for Fred Obermuller needn't come around to them in the future.
A blacklist.
Not anything so tangible. It's just a hint, you know, but it works. It works like...
Wait, and your play!
My play, indeed. It looks like the end of that little fantasy.
What are you gonna do? What can you do?
Shoot Mac Tausig or myself. Or both of
Nonsense.
us. Of course it's nonsense. But that's not the question. Never mind about me. It's what are you going to do? I mean, perhaps you'd better think it over seriously for a day or two and decide if it wouldn't be best to take up Max Tausig's offer and go to work at the Grand.
You're telling me to leave?
I think it would be wise.
The orphanage number still brings in the nickels.
Staying here could do you a lot of harm, and it wouldn't do me much good.
No, I won't go work for that despicable little man. I've talked to some of the actors over there. He would sell his own mother if he saw some profit in it.
Holden, be reasonable. I know you can take care of yourself, but you don't realize what those fellows are capable of. When Gaffney told me, before he gave up and went out west, that there was a genuine signed conspiracy among them to crush out us independents, I laughed at him. It's a dream, Gaffney, I said, but he swears there's a document signed by the great Max Tausig himself, and by Heffelfinger of the Pacific Circuit, by Dixon of Chicago, and Weinstock of New Orleans.
In a vaudeville fantasy number, Wilson enters dressed as a millionaire. He makes a great show of signing the document.
We'll put them out of business.
Constance enters as a millionaire and signs the document.
We'll drive them to the wall!
Maggie enters dressed as a millionaire and signs the document.
We'll blacklist their performers!
Ginger enters dressed as a millionaire and also signs the document.
And we'll control it all!
Vaudevillians takes it.
I think Gaffney's mistaken about that signed agreement. How would he know about that anyway?
There was a leak in Tausig's office. Gaffney had it from a clerk who... Never mind that, it's a long story. It's the blacklisting I'm talking about now. Gray's just been to tell me she's quitting at the end of the month and going over to the Grand to work for Tausig. You're not burdened with a contract, Holden.
That's right. The only contract we ever had was imaginary. Just like that conspiracy contract.
Listen, one time when I was over at the Grand arguing with Tausig about his practice of poaching my performers, he lost his temper and pulled a paper out of his desk and shook it in my face. It had to be the contract that Gaffney was telling me about.
Did you read it? That might have been his laundry list for all you know.
It was a contract. There were signatures at the bottom of the page.
You're sure?
Have you been listening to me?
On second thought, I'll go. You're right. Doesn't take long to know that when you're between the devil and the deep sea, you better try the devil rather than be forced out into the wet. I'd better just go over there where it's warm. They'll be glad to get me, and to tell the truth, I'll be glad to get in with the trust. I have to think of my career. I'll go pack my things.
Wait. I'll write your paycheck.
Send it over to me at the Grand.
There's no...
If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly.
For God's sake, Olden, go!
Nance exits and Fred addresses the audience.
Welcome to Obermuller's Vaudeville. The rats have fled. The ship is going down. The show today is free, for as anyone can see, there's no one left to laugh at but the clown.
Nance is in her boarding house room writing a letter to Latimer.
My dear Mr. Latimer, you will think that I've abandoned Mr. Obermuller, that good and kindly man. I've moved across the street to join the syndicate, or so it will appear. But trust that all is not the way it seems. Your saucy Pipkin has a plan. I hope to see you soon, with all good cheer. Your friend, Nance Olden.
Max's office.
Got tired of staying out in the cold, eh?
I'm tired of vaudeville skits. Can't you give me a chance in a full-length comedy?
Ambitious, aren't you?
Obermuller has a comedy all ready for me, written for me. He'd star me in it fast enough if he had the chance.
But he'll never get the chance.
Oh, I don't know.
But I do. He's on the toboggan, heading downhill fast. That's where they all get, my dear, when they're pig-headed enough to fight us.
But Obermuller's not like the others. He's not so easy. And he's so clever. Why, the plot of that play is the bulliest thing.
You've read it? You remember it?
Oh, I know it by heart. My part in it. You see, he kept trying it out on me. In a way, we worked on it together.
Then, in a way, as you say, it's part yours.
Hardly. Imagine Nance Olden writing a line of a play.
Still, you collaborated. That's the word. I say, my dear, if I could read that comedy and it was half as good as you say it is, I don't promise mind, but I might put the thing on and let you have the part that was written for you. I like to read that comedy, yes?
But Obermuller would never...
But Olden might.
What?
Dictate the plot to my secretary, Mason, in there. You could give him the plot, as much of your own part as you can remember. You know Mason used to be a newspaper man. Smart fellow when he's sober. He could piece out the holes, yes?
I suppose, but of course that play is valuable.
I'll tell you what. If it's good, and we decide to put it on, we'll pay you $200 down in addition to your salary. If it's rot, you'll have your salary weekly all the time you're at it. Just the same as if you were working on the stage.
I'm sure Mr. Obermuller's play is worth much more than $200.
Now, what makes you say that?
Why, the fact that you're willing to pay me $200 for it.
You have some nerve. I suppose we could go as high as $250 if we decide to produce it. I'll speak to Mason. You'll be working with him in the mornings before anyone else is about. We want to keep this thing dark until it's done. Obermuller mustn't get any idea what we're up to. He don't love you for shaking him.
He's furious. Wouldn't even say goodbye. I'm done for with him anyway, I guess. But what could I do?
Nothing, my dear. Absolutely nothing. Mason!
Mason enters and goes to his typewriter.
I don't want to frighten you. Sergeant, one look at you would scare some people to death. Am I that homely? Homely? Why, an undershot bulldog is a peacock alongside of you.
Undershot? What's that mean?
According to Mr. Obermuller, that means its bottom teeth stick out even when its mouth is closed. Let's take a break. I'm longing for a big glass of iced lemonade.
While they're gone, Max enters and takes a page from the typewriter.
Ain't I welcome here, Rosie? You're about as welcome as a rainy holiday. You promised to let up on Mac. I'll never let up on him. He's a crook. Well, what are you?
Nance and Mason re-enter and resume their work as Max listens.
You're a bigger thief than he is.
Brilliant. You know what we've got on our hands? The biggest hit in years. If that fool Obermuller knew enough to come in out of the cold, he could have had a piece of it. Stubborn as sin. Serves him right.
I'll set you up like a queen, and between us we'll milk the tenderloin dry. But what about Fred?
Fred?
Mac!
Not feeling sorry for that misguided has-been, are you, Miss Holden?
Sorry, not a bit of it. Still, it's too bad to make an enemy of him, given his connections.
Ah, ain't I told you he's on the toboggan?
But you can never tell with a man like that. I heard he got into that combine with Heffelfinger and Dixon.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's only what I heard.
Heffelfinger and Dixon are in the trust with us. Who told you that very story?
Obermuller himself.
Huh. They're fooling him a bunch of two. Never you mind, Obermuller. He's a dead one.
Oh, but he said he thought they were in with you, but that nothing but a written agreement would hold men like that, and you haven't gotten one.
Then I'd be a bigger fool than Obermuller. You see, my dear, I'd never trust a man I couldn't buy.
On the street, on a September evening, Nance pauses again to look at the Macy's window.
Hello, Nance.
Tommy, you gave me a fright.
Ain't you glad to see me?
Don't sneak up on a person like that.
I heard you were working at the Grand now. Obermuller tossed you out?
Something like that.
Hey, listen, Nance. My sister Nora says the cops been coming around to her place looking for me. We can't stay here. It's time to make a strike and skedaddle.
But Lady Gray's still working at Obermuller's. I won't have a chance now.
And you should have done it before now. How stupid can you be? Find a way. There's a freighter leaving for Liverpool at midnight Wednesday. You do the job and meet me on the docks. We'll go to Paris, like you've always wanted. You can teach me Frenchy talk on the way over.
Oh, but Tom...
Don't argue with me, Nance. You just do what I said. Don't make me mad and do something you won't like.
All right. I'll find a way.
The lights come up very slowly, very dim. It's late at night in Max's office. Nance enters silently and picks the lock on Max's desk. She takes out a piece of paper, lifts her skirt and pins the paper to her petticoat. Nance picks up the pile of typed pages and tears these into little pieces and then exits silently. In Betty's dressing room that evening, Lady Gray is talking with Betty, Constance, and Maggie.
Fred Obermuller found her and made her. Just dug her out of the ground, taught her every blessed thing she knows, wrote her monologues for her, gave her a chance, and now, well, Max Tausig don't pay salaries for nothing. And she gets hers over there at the Grand every week from what I hear.
I'm sure there's an explanation.
Oh, there's an explanation, all right.
Other than what you're thinking?
She could have stayed till the end of Mr. Obermuller's lease like we're doing.
And here I thought you were staying because you didn't get an offer from Max Tausig.
Oh, don't be nasty, Ethel. I'm not going over to the Grand either. Anyway, you know Fred. He wouldn't ask anybody to stay who couldn't do better someplace else.
Maybe you can afford to be all holier than thou, but some of us need our jobs.
Call!
They all exit to do the show. On the vaudeville stage, the performers are dressed as factory workers at sewing machines. The owner and the foreman enter and survey the work.
A song about employment.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't show rebellious attitude. Bow down and kiss the feet of your employer. Demonstrate the proper gratitude. Shut up and do your work without complaining. Remember, you are easy to replace. Bend over and say thank you for the warning. Unless you want to leave here in disgrace.
Betty rushes in, tying on her apron.
You're late, Betty. One more time and I'll dismiss you.
Where would we be without your little paycheck? Subsisting on a stale crust of bread. If factory work seems dangerous and demeaning, remember that it keeps your family fed. If you don't find conditions to your liking, consider what you have to do instead. You might try selling pencils on the corner, or entertaining sailors in your bed. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't show rebellious attitude. Bow down and lick the boots of your employer. Demonstrate the proper gratitude. Demonstrate the proper gratitude. Demonstrate the proper gratitude.
At Latimer's the next morning, Latimer holds the Max Tausig contract.
I won't ask how you came by this very troubling document.
Mr. Obermuller told me about it.
Surely he didn't expect you to...
He doesn't know that I have it. Does it really show that there's an illegal conspiracy like he thinks?
Well, legally, for there to be a conspiracy, there has to be an agreement to do something that's against the law.
What we have here is an agreement between several people stating that they will only hire vaudeville performers to a central booking agency.
Which freezes out any performer who isn't in with the push.
Yes, it will doubtless have that effect. Now, please understand, I'm no friend of Max Tausig, but I'm not so sure this agreement violates the Sherman Act.
Oh, but Mr. Obermuller
Mr.
said that-
Obermuller is a man of many virtues, but he isn't a lawyer, which some might say is a virtue in itself. The Sherman Act makes restraint of trade and interstate commerce illegal. Here we have a voluntary agreement between the participating theater managers about a booking agency. The agreement has to do with performers' services, not the sale or transport of goods in interstate commerce.
Oh, but I thought
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I couldn't advise Mr. Obermuller to spend several years of his life and more money than you can imagine trying to persuade the Federal Trade Commission that this agreement violates the Sherman Act. He'd likely end up frustrated and broke.
I see. Oh, but Mr. Obermuller was so sure, and I wanted to give him so much, the proof that he needed. He was so good to me. Underneath all of his bluff and bluster, he's the kindest man I ever met.
If you want to express your gratitude to him, maybe you should just say it.
You mean, tell him?
You have no shortage of vocabulary. I'm sure you can find the words.
In Betty's dressing room later that evening, Lady Grey is talking with Betty, Constance, and Maggie, and Nance enters.
Look what the cat dragged in.
Nance, we've been missing you.
Slumming.
Oh, just paying a friendly call. Is Mr. Obermuller in his office?
I haven't seen him around today.
Yeah, try over at Maria's Cafe, but don't expect a warm welcome.
Well, I was just leaving.
Did I hear that your husband's in town?
That's right. His lordship and I are leaving for a little vacation in Atlantic City.
Oh, you lucky thing.
I suppose we'll see you backstage at the Grand in a few weeks. Or will you still be working for Mr. Tausig privately?
I won't be working for Mr. Tausig at all. I quit.
What? You'll never get another job in New York.
I don't care. Max Tausig is a monster, and I wouldn't go back there for a farm. If you go over there, be careful. That man is like a spider.
You may have other skills you can fall back on, Olden, but some of us need our jobs. Well, toodaloo.
Have fun and bring us some saltwater taffy.
Do you see much of Jimmy Hennessy over at the Grand?
Oh, that devil Jimmy Hennessy, no loyalty at all. Fred was so broken up when he defected. But that voice and that face, there's a man to swoon over.
What are your conquests?
He's happily married. I wouldn't do that.
And what happily unmarried man sent you those gorgeous roses, Betty?
Oh, my latest. My landlady's son at my boarding house. He's a dentist.
A dentist? He'd be looking at your teeth all the time.
Admiring her pretty smile, you mean. Betty, have you ever tried to work your charms on Mr. Topham?
Gray's puppy dog? He wouldn't leave those diamonds unguarded for half a minute.
Oh, I bet that Betty could lure him away for 10 whole minutes.
I don't think so, Nance.
You're on. If I can do it, you have to buy me the biggest box of chocolate cribs from McFarland's.
It's a bet.
I'll do it right now. You just go on over to McFarland's and buy those creams. Hand me the rouge pod, Maggie. Thanks.
Oh, shall I send Ginger to rescue you?
Oh, no thank you. I know how to get rid of a man. All right, watch this.
The lights go down on Betty's dressing room and then up on Gray's dressing room where Topham sits reading a newspaper. Betty knocks.
Mr. Topham.
Betty! Looking for Lady Grey. She's just gone to the train station.
Mr. Topham, there's a big spider in my dressing room. Will you come kill it, please?
Sorry, Betty. You know I have to stay here. Kill it yourself.
Oh, no, I can't. I'm terrified of spiders. I would simply faint.
Then get somebody else to do it. Where's Whittlesey or Ginger?
Everybody's gone out. Oh, please, Mr. Topham. I can't go back in there with that horrible creature in my craw right up inside my petticoats.
Well...
Who's going to know? And I'll make it worth your while. I'll do something nice for you.
Something nice?
Something very nice.
I suppose, just for a minute.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Topham.
After they leave, Nance enters on tiptoe. Then, backstage a few minutes later, Nance makes her way toward the stage door.
Hold it. What are you doing here?
I came by to visit with the girls.
I hear from those same girls that you're getting quite a reputation. That you spend your days sequestered in Max Tausig's office? That he's paying you for services rendered, but not as an actress?
Oh, it's true, Mr. O. I've done a terrible thing.
Oh, Nance, how could you...
Oh, it's not what you think. It's worse.
What could possibly be worse?
I sold your play to that vile man.
You did what?
I dictated it to his secretary.
My play?
Well, he couldn't wait to get it on the stage. He's so sure it'll be a gigantic hit. That wretched little man, oh, it must have just killed him to find it torn into little pieces.
What? Wait, you tore it up?
It's all confetti now.
And Max Tausig really wants to produce my play?
Didn't I just say so? He was daffy with it. I wish I'd been there to see his face. He thought his fortune was made.
But why did you do it?
He offered me so much money.
No, I mean, why did you tear it up?
I couldn't let that thief steal your play.
Now, we mustn't speak ill of the man who will soon control all of vaudeville. You continue to confound me, Olden. What about your career? You'll be blacklisted.
Then I'll be in good company.
Very late that night, in Fred's office, Betty enters, carrying a bottle and 2 shot glasses.
Betty, what are you still doing here?
I thought you might like a drink.
I mean, why are you still working here? Didn't you get an offer from Max Tausig?
I told him, in a refined, ladylike way, of course, what he could do with his offer,
You'll be out of work soon.
along with half the folks in the show.
What will you do?
Me? Oh, I don't know. Maybe open a voice studio? Maybe go to California?
It's awfully far away.
Yes. What's eating you, Fred? Anything you want to talk about?
Roast. I wish I could talk to my stepfather. I told you about him.
Many times. Maybe I can do a bit of conjuring.
In a fantasy moment, Betty takes off her hat to reveal a halo and becomes Fred's grandfather, Joseph Obermuller.
Joseph? Guten Abend.
It's the middle of the night, Freddie.
So it is. Sorry, here, this isn't bad whiskey for the price. Papa, Joseph, I've broken my promise. I hope you don't think that I lied to you. I pride myself on keeping my word. You know that's what I tried to do.
I have left the concerns of the living behind. Your promise to me has fled from my mind. Angels in heaven don't hold a grudge. Fred, I would never act as your judge. Do you think that it's easy learning the harp? If you pull too tight, the note will be sharp. If your string's too loose, the sound will be flat. Fred, did you ever think about that?
Joseph, Papa, listen to me. Something has happened you couldn't foresee. The company's finished. September, we're closing. My loyal performers will be out of work. I'm sorry to say it, but now it appears a bargain with Satan may save their careers. I need your wisdom. What do I do next? My judgment is clouded. I'm tired and vexed.
Freddie,
Yes, Papa?
why aren't you married? Never mind. Pour me another, would you? Fred, get some sleep and attend to your task. Think of me kindly, that's all that I ask. I'm not really here. I can't be your guide. Fred, you are clever. You must decide. Don't fret about me. Get that out of your head. Leave me in peace now, Fred. I am dead.
Betty puts the top hat back on and exits, and Fred reaches for the telephone. In Max's office the next morning, Nance and Fred.
I understand you want to produce my play.
Well, Obermuller, it looks like you've finally come to your senses. Possibly. Given your present situation, I'd be doing you quite a favor, but...
Holden will play the lead, of course.
You're jumping the gun a few, Obermuller. It's just my play, with substantial revisions, of course. I'd be taking quite a risk. I can only offer you half the usual commission. As for Miss Olden, she's no longer welcome here.
Oh, in that case...
He'll do it. It's all right. I have other plans.
Nance
Mr.
pulls the
Towson?
trust contract out of her handbag.
Do you recognize this document?
Is
How the
that
devil?
what...
That's your signature, I think. I showed this document to a lawyer that specializes in contract matters. He said it definitely violates the Sherman Act.
It's an illegal agreement to restrain trade. He, the lawyer, told me I should take it straight to the police, but I realized you might not want that to happen. Of course, I might take it over to the city editor at the Sun instead.
Sit down, Tausig. So you'll produce it?
I'll need to talk to my lawyer.
No, you won't. This is a one-time offer, now or never.
Well, all right. I'll produce it.
Very good. You'll pay me twice the usual commission. Olden will play Rosie, and Betty Blackburn will play Louise.
Betty Blackburn?
Oh, but seriously, Olden won't be available.
Let's stipulate that Olden will play the lead in the event she becomes available, and I will choose the director. Furthermore, you will be absent yourself from all rehearsals. And every performer who ever worked for me will be removed from your blacklist.
All right. Give my secretary a list.
One more thing. I need a $100 advance.
I'll have my lawyer draw up the paperwork tomorrow morning.
I want the 100 now. I'll sign a receipt.
I'll have to get it out of my safe.
Get it. I'll wait. The reason for all this, Holden?
Reason?
Whatever made you decide to borrow that document?
Mr. Latimer said it's no use, but I wanted to bring down the theatrical trust.
And that's all? Nonsense, Olden. There was another reason. There are other trusts. Are you going to set up as a lady errant and right all syndicate wrongs?
I wanted to do something for you. You were so good to me. You believed in me. You made me feel like I had a home. You and Betty.
Ah, Betty. She's a treasure, all right.
But I thought...
I couldn't be courting her when she was working for me. It wouldn't be right. But now I won't be the one writing her paycheck. Know what I want that 100 for? How would you like to go to Tiffany's with me and help me pick out a diamond ring?
On the street outside the Obermuller stage door immediately following.
What's this Olden isn't available business? Another one of your schemes? Seriously, what are you trying to do? We've got him painted into a corner right now, but he'll slither out of it faster than you can blink. What are you planning?
Seriously, Mr. O. I'm going to Paris. Not exactly in a White Star Line stateroom like her chippy ladyship travels, but, my friend Tommy Dorgan found a freighter to take us to Liverpool.
And who's this Tommy Dorgan, if I may ask?
He's my fiancé.
Your fiancé?
He helped me when I got booted out of the charity, and he taught me everything I know.
About taking what isn't yours. And why haven't I ever met this marvelous fellow?
He's been away.
Way up the river, Sing Sing. Olden, is this what you really want?
There's nothing for me here. I will not work for that despicable little man. I might as well start over somewhere else. And I've heard that in Paris, if you've got wit, you can just spin the world around your little finger.
Is that what you've heard?
So I have to say goodbye.
Right now? Just when do you plan on leaving?
Tonight. I'm meeting Tommy at the docks.
Tonight. At the freighter docks? I'll go with you.
I can take care of myself.
Well, I'd never forgive myself if anything were to happen to you, so you'll just have to put up with my company.
All right. I'll meet you right here at 11:30.
We transition to nighttime as Nance returns to the street outside the stage door.
I'm standing at the stage door, the diamond hidden in my dress. I have the thing I wanted most, yet I feel I'm leaving here with less. It's time to say goodbye, to leave behind the footlights, the applause, the life I found. I knew it wouldn't last. The audience, the boards beneath my feet, that magic thing got a hold of me. It's over. It's already in the past. C'est la vie! I'm off to Paris. At last I'll see the Moulin Rouge, the Tower Eiffel, that city of delights where grafting pays and thieves can do so well. I'll enchant the ladies with my winning ways, my pretty please, très bien merci, my s'il vous plaise. I'll charm the rings right off their fingers. Their treasures will be mine to sell. I'm through with these silly little vaudeville plays with tawdry actresses and sentimental singers.
the gossiping and the jealousy backstage. There's nothing left for me here. Like Tommy said, it's lifting that truly is my career.
The docks at night. Tom's shadowy figure smokes and paces. Nance and Fred enter.
Who's this?
Mr. Fred Obermuller from the vaudeville.
Good of you to escort Nance. Where's your bags?
I didn't have time to pack my things.
No matter. We'll buy you some new duds over there. Did you do like I said?
Yes, Tom.
I knew you'd find a way. Hand it over.
Nance holds out a small package.
We're still a pair. We'll hang together, same as before. This is our chance. Pickings are good over there. Just like you wanted. We're going to France.
If you don't mind my asking, do you have any money? How do you plan to provide for Miss Olden?
What's that to you?
I don't care a lick about you, but Olden deserves a friend to help keep her out of the muck you dragged her into.
I came back for her as soon as I could.
What did you do? Bring her more trouble? As soon as you could, showing your face. She deserves better than you. You better get yourself out of this place.
Tom, I've been thinking that I might stay here in New York.
What a stupid idea. It's all that vaudeville business, gone to your head. You just forget about that right now. You had it sweet. I could have rotted up in that pen. You didn't care. Now that I'm back on the street, don't you abandon me. You wouldn't dare.
Maybe you should consider what Miss Olden wants.
You should butt out. This ain't your business. Leave us alone. Don't make me sore. I won't be leaving without you've taken up with him. Little.
That's no way to talk to a lady.
She's mine, and I'll talk to her any way I want.
Fred and Tom circle each other, ready for a fight.
Stop! Stop!
A policeman enters.
Evening, Sergeant.
Evening. Everything all right here?
Calm as a dead mackerel on a plate.
Good night, then.
Tom, I'm not going. I see it all so clear. You never loved me. I was a tool that you could use, misguided and driven by fear. You can't control me now. I get to choose.
Nance, please.
You should go now. You can sell that. Live like a king. You don't need me.
Go! Before I call the policeman back.
All right, I'm going. Goodbye, Nance.
Tommy, old friend, I will remember how you were then, gallous and gay. Now that we've come to the end, you keep yourself safe in that place, far away.
And stay gone.
Tom goes to the ship's ladder and begins to climb, disappearing into the darkness. A few minutes later, Fred and Nance walk into a nearby saloon.
Regrets, Olden?
About Tom? Not a one. About Paris? Maybe a little.
Yeah, who knows? You may get there yet. What was in that package you gave him, if I may ask?
Oh, a rhinestone brooch that I used to admire, and a little money that I saved up out of my pay. You're the best fellow I ever knew. Didn't know a man could be so good.
You'd never have learned it from him.
Oh, well, let me show you something I did learn from him.
Nance pulls the rose diamond on its chain out from under her dress and gives it to Fred.
It was appraised at $55,000. Damn it, Olden. Do you have any idea how much trouble I would have been in if you'd... I've told Gray over and over again she should hire a Pinkerton man to watch these things, or else there'd be trouble for us someday.
I was thinking that I'd put it on Max House's desk and tip off the police about where they could find it.
Not bad. Not bad at all. But I'll have to give it back to Gray.
Oh, she'll have conniptions.
I expect so. You think you might be available to play Rosie after all?
I might.
On the sidewalk in front of Delmonico's restaurant, it's winter again. Henrietta and Edward stand talking with Latimer, who's in his wheelchair. Nance enters with Fred and Betty, who are arm in arm.
Mrs. Ramsey, I'd like to introduce my fiancée, Betty Blackburn.
A pleasure to meet you, my dear. And what a lovely scarf, Miss Olden.
Oh, I thank you. I had a hankering for something red.
Do you need help getting over the threshold, Latimer?
If you don't mind, I'm still not sure why I was invited to this gathering, unless you need legal advice.
Nothing of the sort. We're planning to start an arts program at the orphanage.
We want you to read poetry to the children.
My dear Henrietta, my dear Miss Olden, if we can solve the problems of getting me there, nothing would give me greater pleasure. But why are we waiting out here in the cold? Shall we go in?
They all go into the restaurant, and then the entire cast enters for the closing vaudeville number.
Thank you from Obermuller's Vaudeville. We're happy that you came to see the show. Now we hate to break the spell, but it's time to say farewell.
And be sure to check your pockets.
Well,